belated welcome to Crystal Palace. How have your first few weeks been?
Yeah, very good. Settled in very well. Of course, there's a good group of people here, good staff, a good group of players. So I've been welcomed in very nicely and settled in very well, and really looking forward to it.
Great for you to be in the Premier League.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's the biggest league in the world, the most competitive, the most difficult, and we're under no illusions. You know, we've got to make sure we get things right this year.
When did you first cross paths with Patrick Vieira?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly with Pat, but obviously Patrick came and did his coach education with us in Wales. I remember going up to Manchester City to speak to him about the next stage of his career. Marcel Desailly, who had been with us on the Welsh programme, had recommended he spoke to me. So we sat down and had a long conversation about what he wanted to do next and how he was going to achieve it. You know, and he was convinced that coming into our programme and the relationship that we developed was the best way for him. And therefore, you know, since those days, we've kept in close contact as he's gone from, you know, through his coach education pathway, from the B to the A to the pro licence. And even then, in terms of where he's worked, and we've always kept in contact about, you know, how he's working, what he's doing, and all of that. So yeah, it's been a long relationship by now. But of course, now we're working side by side for the very first time. You know, I think we fit well together. I'm the type that's quite adaptable anyway, having worked as an assistant with many. But Patrick, of course, comes with no ego, has that humility that is so important. But at the same time, he knows what it takes. Having done that as a player. But what I like about Patrick also is he's taken the necessary steps to arrive in the Premier League as a coach. He's done all the hard work away from the lenses, if you like, you know, when he started at Manchester City with the youth team there and developing himself as a coach. And then, of course, the challenge of the MLS is a definite challenge for any coach, and served his time there. And then, of course, then in League One with Nice, the same. So he's developed himself, you know, along the way to make sure he's ready for this challenge here at what is a fantastic club with great history, great tradition. We're eager to make sure that we help this club for the next few years to continue to prosper.
Do you share similar views in how you like the game to be played?
Yes and no, you know, and that's the good thing. And he expects from me that he gets a different voice, a different opinion, and a different view on things. And we will disagree. You know, I'm not here to say yes to everything, and that's not what he wants. But we do that in the correct way. We want conflict, you know, and we want conflict with players. And we're already encouraging that. And that's why we have regular unit meetings, for example, to make sure that we have those discussions, because ultimately it's the players that have to go out on the pitch and deliver. So they must be part of the process and take ownership. And to do that, we have to discuss things and we have to be open. You know, nobody has all the answers, but collectively we can find solutions, and that's how we work within the first team environment. You know, that's the difference. It must be healthy conflict with everybody having that approach, that common approach, that identity and that vision that we're all aiming and striving for the same thing. We value each and every person that's part of the staff and part of the playing staff.
It was a tough start to the season against Chelsea, very good team. You guys really looking forward to getting in front of the Palace fans for the first time this Saturday?
Yeah, I can't wait. I've been to Selhurst Park several occasions as an assistant manager of Wales, coming to watch our Welsh players, many of them that have played here in recent times. And I've always loved the atmosphere coming in as a neutral, but now, of course, being part of the club is going to be extra special. And I know, speaking to friends and colleagues that work in different clubs around the Premier League, it's probably everybody's favourite ground to visit in terms of atmosphere. You know, it's an authentic club which, you know, has those old-fashioned values, if you like, that is still, you know, respected wherever you go in the game. I was out in Morocco, of course, and the last week before I came to Palace, I was with Marwan Shamak for a week, who is loved and adored still by the fans here. And we talked many times about his experience here and how much he loved the atmosphere, the identity of the club, and so on. And yeah, just really looking forward to being a part of that. We know it's not going to be easy. We know that we're not quite ready in terms of having everybody on board, the players coming in. We're still a little bit short in terms of that, but ultimately we're confident that this can be a good season for the club, but under no illusions that it's going to be a big challenge and it's going to be hard work. And as long as everybody continues, as my first observation of the first 3 weeks is that, you know, as I said, we've got an honest group of players who are prepared to work hard and are prepared to do everything they possibly can to succeed. So as a starting point, it gives us a chance. But we've got a lot of work to do, and we're under no illusions, but really looking forward to doing that, because, you know, we want to make sure that those fans, those special fans, have got plenty to cheer about this year.
Let's have a little chat about your career. Where did it all start for you in football?
I played in Wales, obviously, and with the Welsh youth international football. And then I was the first person from Wales to go on a soccer scholarship to the United States. So I spent 7 years or so in the States playing collegiate level, being an All-American and all of that. Really great experience. And then having been forced to retire from playing in my late 20s through injury, then you know, I focused fully on coaching. So I'd got my B license when I was 16 years old, my A license when I was 23, 24. So I was well along that line anyway in terms of my thinking and where I was heading. And then I was fortunate to come back to Wales as the first member of staff responsible for a region for the Football Association of Wales in '92, and stayed in that job. But I was very fortunate to be working also with all the youth national teams for many years, from '92, '93 until recently. So probably, if I count how many international games I've had as head coach or assistant coach, it's well over 400, 450 games. When Gary Speed asked me to come in as an assistant coach during his reign, it was a great time for Welsh football. I think at the time we were 117th in the world, and when we finished, we were 8th in the world, and we've consistently been in the top 20 and achieving, you know, great things over the last few years. So it was a really great project to be a part of.
It was an amazing summer, wasn't it, back in 2016? What was the secret to that success?
Well, of course, it's all about players, you know, and we had an excellent group of players that had, you know, built this team spirit. We had a family atmosphere off the pitch, and a group of players that were prepared to sacrifice everything for the good of the team. You know, top individual players, world-class players, Gareth Bale, of course, Aaron Ramsey, these type of players that were prepared to work, you know, for the team, and not only that, you know, work harder than everybody else. So the most talented players tend to work harder than anybody else as well. It's no accident. You know, obviously we got to the semi-final of the Euros, and we've built on it since then, because we were planning for the future. We already knew what generation we had coming through, what we'd prepared for players coming through to replace some of those players. But we started doing that, you know, well before they needed to be ready for the first team. So we had 16-year-old players, Ethan Ampadu of Chelsea, Tyler Roberts of Leeds United. These type of players were training with the first team at the age of 16, knowing that in 2 or 3 years' time, when their time comes, they'll be ready.
And when you're working in the Welsh system, how much of it was coaching players and how much was coaching coaches?
So obviously I had a dual role. I was very fortunate as technical director of the FA of Wales for 14 years. I was responsible for the youth development, but also responsible for the coach education. And we have a world-class coaching programme in Wales that has seen, you know, many top players and coaches come and receive their education in Wales. But I was also head coach of the under-16s. So I was coaching the young group of players, and I was assistant coach of the national team, the first team, from 2011 to 2019. So I was assistant under Gary Speed, Chris Coleman, and then Ryan Giggs. It was a great period of time for Welsh football, and it's great to see that the legacy is being continued on a very solid foundation. And it was a very difficult decision, you know, being Welsh and being patriotic, to take that step and move away from something that we had spent so much time and so much energy and so much love in developing, you know, for the Welsh football nation.